Yes. 2-5 is in your ears. 2-5 is in your face. Sports Reports is ordered. Got some stuff to get to today. So let's get through this. Do me a favor, though. You know what I'm saying? Give me a like. Give me some subscribes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's free, right? It's free. So let's get to this. First things first. Let's talk about the ACC. So, as we go throughout college football history, we see highlights every year. Miami, Florida State, wide right. Well, this situation between the ACC and Florida State is going left real quick. So, for those of you that have been under a rock, obviously Florida State got left out of the college football playoff. That caused some drama, that caused some heated conversations between the school and the conference. You know, FSU felt that the ACC didn't say enough, do enough to plead Florida State's case. Not that the committee was going to reverse their decisions anyway, right? But anyway, we fast forward. So reports come out, and this started before the season. Florida State wants to leave the ACC. But where are they going to go? We'll get to that in a little bit. You know, then kind of quieted down. Florida State goes on to win the ACC. And then here we are again. After the Orange Bowl, everybody's upset at Florida State because a bunch of players sat out. They went and got shellacked by Georgia. And then here we are. Florida State sues the ACC trying to challenge the grant of rights, which apparently in the grant of rights says that you cannot challenge the grant of rights. Now, I'm no lawyer. I'm no legal beagle. But my first question is that legal in the first place? You know, that we can sign this deal that can't be challenged? Now, Florida State didn't have to sign it, did they? You know, that's point number one. Now, the ACC countersues Florida State and adds on to their lawsuit that they want to remove Florida State from conference decisions, right? All right. Now, that's tough to do, but February is coming up. We're going to court. We got to figure out if it's going to be down in Tallahassee or if it's going to be in Charlotte, ACC headquarters. So as we get there, let's just look at this for a second. So Florida State joined the ACC in 1991 after being independent, after having their basketball associated with the Metro Conference. And Florida State has since won 16 ACC championships, the most of any school since they've joined the conference, right? Now, looking at this all time, there have been 76 ACC champions. Florida State has won 16 of them. They are second to Clemson at 21, right? And just for shits and giggles, who's third? I'll give you a second to think about it. If you guess the Maryland Terps, you are correct with 9 titles, who has not been in the ACC since 2013. So that tells you the type of football conference that we're dealing with here and why Florida State wants to get out, because Florida State feels that it's bigger than the ACC. The ACC schools aren't as committed to football as they are. Florida State also brings in the most revenue football-wise as far as TV ratings and all that. So Florida State feels, why are we sitting here collecting $30 million while the SEC is about to have a deal kick in next year that's going to pay its schools nearly $70 million a year? The Big Ten is going to be more than that, near $72 million up until 2031, and they get to renegotiate all over again. Meanwhile, the ACC is stuck until 2036, which, again, they agreed to. So for Florida State to leave on its own without the lawsuits and all that, they just pack up and leave. It's going to be near $500 million. That's with a B. So you figure we're talking about at least 12 years of home games that are going to be owned by the ACC, and FSU gets no revenue. But this is the question. Where does ESPN sit in all of this? because ESPN owns the ACC rights. The ESPN owns the SEC. Now, this is the question that ESPN has to ask themselves, which I'm sure they have, and the answer is no. But you got to come back to this. All right. So you're paying FSU $30 million or so right now by being a member of the ACC. You're paying the SEC teams upwards of $70 million about. So do you really want to move FSU to the SEC and have to pay double or more than double? Or do you risk the Big Ten stepping in and you lose Florida State altogether? The ACC starts to crumble a little bit because FSU is the public face of this, but FSU is not the only school that wants out of the ACC. Any school worth its salt wants out of the ACC right now, just from a monetary and fiscal responsibility standpoint. So again, where does ESPN stand in all of this? So I get it, right? You're suing FSU. You don't want your defendant to have voting rights. I got it. But you also don't necessarily want to piss off your brand. Now, I know North Carolina basketball, Duke basketball, those are bigger brands than Florida State football. I know that. But football is what drives the bus. And Florida State has the keys.